Purity doesn't have to be just about running away from lust. Okay, you could be over-functioning. You could be over-talking, or you could be overspending, oversleeping. All these things will actually affect your pure conscience. Back then, as a pastor, I'm still a pastor right now, but just like back then as a local church pastor, I used to tell people, well, you have pride. That's where it goes wrong. But after I learned a bit of counseling, I realized that I can't stop there. Because when people have pride, usually they are not aware of their own emotions. Is that right? And I found that a lot of people, when they started to realize, right, there are some negative emotions at work, and then they will actually change. I found more than half of the people. I learned not to be too quick to label people as prideful or arrogant, because that just doesn't help. If you understand what is at work internally, you can actually come to your senses to realize that, right, I was stressing out because of something, therefore I got angry, and therefore I dumped my anger on my loved ones and my friends, and I didn't realize that, right? So once you realize that, you will actually stop doing it. Does that make sense? The problem is that we are not aware of the internal emotions that are operating. The pity is about times that you felt like you are at your lowest. You're emotionally low, or you got falsely accused. You are at your lowest points and you don't know what to do. And usually that's the place that you need to look up. When you're in the pit, of course you look up. And it means it's time for you to cry out to the Lord, to call on God and ask God for help. Remember, you can't figure things out all by yourself. That's what I hear from a lot of people. They say, oh, well, I don't want to go to church. Let me figure it out myself. Don't talk to me. Let me just figure it out yourself. I know it has its place, but you can't figure it out everything by yourself. And that's why you need a community, and that's why you need external help. That's why you need counseling or pastoral therapy. You need to find a place where you feel safe to share all the things that you want to share. A lot of people, they second guess other people, or they second guess themselves. So a lot of people second guess what other people would say. They say, well, if I share honestly and vulnerably, then these guys will yell at me. These guys will say something nasty. Immediately, you shut yourself down. You stop yourself from expressing your honest thoughts and feelings. That's the moment you'll be stressed out. A lot of people with mental health that I counseled, that's where they went wrong. Because they think, I don't want to talk because I know that they will not listen to me. I don't want to talk because they will get angry. Does that make sense? As soon as you come to that point, you're in a mental health struggle. So don't do that. People might say, hey, look, what if that person does it all the time? I say, well, I understand that if that person or your loved ones, they do that all the time, then you need to find someone who you can talk to. Someone you can talk to where you feel safe. You feel like they don't judge you. You feel like even though you say wrong stuff, angry stuff, terrible stuff, or you're letting out your frustrations, that person could still accept you. They will still love you. They're not impressed, or they will not get freaked out. They will still listen to you. That's where you find healing. That's where you find freedom. And I found that a lot of people, they don't know their destiny. They don't know the purpose of their lives, which is coming to right now, is because they haven't talked enough. They haven't talked enough in a safe environment. Because intrinsically, when you are able to talk honestly, vulnerably, without being judged, usually people will come to their senses. Usually people will find out what they want. I remember one time I was at the end of one of the sessions, one youth leader came to me and she said, hey, Stan, you were talking about negotiation. You were talking about telling people what you want. But she said, but what if you don't know what you want? Then you can't negotiate. You just go with whatever people want to ask you to do. And I said, that's true. If you don't know what you want, then you can't negotiate. But the problem is not about you don't know what you want. The problem is that you haven't processed enough to explore and discover what you want, because God has placed something in you. It's your job to discover it. I said, You don't know what you want because you haven't talked enough. You haven't talked enough. You haven't found someone who you feel safe, and that person can actually feel like they can accept you no matter what you say. Very important.